And I apologize for any yard work you hear. My dad is currently doing yard work. Hello everyone! My name is Jenna, but you guys can call me Jen. And welcome to a different angle. Hi, hello! Today, we're gonna be doing my September wrap-up. Kind of rapid fire because I'm doing this on the clock. Gotta go to my next job because I'm running out of time today. But it's officially the end of September that I'm filming this, and I read a bunch of books this month, so let's go over it. This month so far, I have read 11 books, and I have also DNF'd 4, which we will talk about when we get there. I read a good variety of genres this month. I read some YA fantasy, regular fantasy, sci-fi, middle grade, literary fiction, YA fiction, and romance this month. So a whole bunch of stuff. And I had a good range of ratings as well, from a 1-star to a bunch of 5 stars. So without further ado, let's just dive into this. First up on the docket, I read Hamlet for book club this month, and I gave this one a 5-star. This is a historical reimagining of Shakespeare's life in a way. It like has his love story at the center of it, but also the center of it is his son, Hamlet, who was like the inspiration for his play Hamlet, because they are the same name at this point in time. It was lovely. I absolutely adored it. So heartbreaking. And also a plague book. Will warn you, plague book, but really enjoyed those 5 stars. Next up, I ended up reading for another book club, kind of an impromptu book club that my friends have been calling a monster fucker book club. We read Planet Barbarians, which I gave 1 star. It was bad. It was so bad, but our lovely discussion was pretty great. So that was super fun, and that was the only good thing about this book, was to be able to discuss it with my friends. So 1 star. Then I ended up reading The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Shuri. This one I also gave 5 stars to. So we had a 5-star, a 1-star, and then another 5-star. This was fabulous. It is the perfect mix of just lyrical writing and like not really like confusing lyrical writing, just beautiful prose with incredible world building and just mysterious magic that I want to know everything about, and just impeccable characters. And it's sapphic. I love it so much. So this is basically a story about Princess Malini, who has been trapped by her terrible emperor brother for like most of her life because she refused to do something. Then Priya, who becomes her like maid servant, and it's their relationship and it's all the political machinations around it and all that kind of stuff. It is so good. I love this book with all my heart. So good. Up next, I read A Record for the Spaceborne Few by Becky Chambers, which I gave 3.5 stars to. This is my 3rd Chambers at the time that I read, and it wasn't my favorite of hers. I think my favorite is still the Close and Common Orbit, which is the 2nd one in the Wayfarer series. So this continues that series. It's kind of a series of companions, so you could technically read them out of order, but it is wonderful to read them in order because there are ties through the entire series, and I'm currently reading the 4th one and I'm liking it a lot. So Becky Chambers just knows how to write a damn book. And this one was good. It follows a whole cast of characters who are all affected by this one event that happens at the very beginning. It is a little bit unstructured and loose to me, and it is a little bit too existential. Didn't have anything to like grab onto plot-wise, so that's why it only got like a 3.5 star. It wasn't my favorite. Up next, I have my Trash My TBR books, which we're gonna rattle through. So I read The Rules of Magic by Alice Hoffman, which I gave 2.5 stars to. If you guys saw my Trash My TBR vlog, you know all my thoughts. I liked it better than Practical Magic because it is the prequel to Practical Magic, but I did not love it. I just didn't attach myself to any characters or anything. It's like a historical novel about these 3 siblings. They're all witches, 1 wizard, because one's a guy. It's them like discovering themselves and discovering magic, that kind of a thing. It was okay, just okay. Yeah, 2.5 stars. Then for that same video, I ended up DNFing 2 books. I DNF'd The 3 Dark Crowns by Kendari Blake and The Beholder by Anna Bright, neither of which really were that interesting. I DNF'd this one after 20 pages, was not for me, and this one after about 30% of my way through it, I just didn't care, and the characters didn't feel real. None of them felt like real people, so I was like, why? I don't care. So I DNF'd them, because life is too short to read bad books, my guys. And then I finally finished my read of The Eye of the World, the very first one, of The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan, and I really loved this book, and it is setting me off on the journey to read all 15 books of The Wheel of Time. My copy is a used copy, and the first like 30 pages are falling out, hence the reason I hold it together with paper clips. But I love this. I annotated it. It's amazing, and I really enjoyed it. I think I gave this one 4 stars, and yeah, I'm in. Big fantasy world, expansive. This definitely feels quite Tolkien-esque in places. quite typical fantasy, and I'm excited because the TV show's coming. So I gotta read this, and hopefully the second one as well, so I can be like super caught up on all storylines going into that TV show. So excited about that. And I am also planning to do like a discussion video about the Wheel of Time in the first book and the show and my expectations and stuff like that coming up soon. So watch your subscription boxes, subscribe if you haven't yet, and do so you don't miss out on that. Speaking of other DNFs this month, I also DNF'd tentatively The Road Trip by Beth O'Leary because I feel like this is going to be a better read in the summer and I just don't want to ever pick it up. I should have just powered through it when I started it because I was enjoying it. I just don't think I'm going to get to it at all for the rest of this year, so that will maybe be a revisit one day. And then I also DNF'd Hench by Natalie something, which is a like superhero, supervillain origin story type of book. The concept is really cool and I got 50% of the way through before I was just like, I don't care about this character. She's kind of the worst and I just couldn't do it. So that's also a tentative DNF. I might one day pick up the physical copy because I was listening to that one on audiobook and I might try it physically because it is also a Canadian read, so I would love to be able to actually get my way through it and read more Canadian authors. Yeah, DNF Hench. And then in a desperate ploy to find something to listen to, I picked up Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky by Kwame Mbalia, and I loved this. So I tried reading this, I believe it was either 2019 or 2020, I think it was 2020 when the pandemic first hit, and I just wasn't in the mood for it. So I put it down at the time because I didn't want to power through it when I knew I wasn't in the mood for it to come out with a bad rating. And so I read it now, I picked it up and I ate it up. I read that audiobook, I listened to the audiobook in one day. I just loved it so much, and I'm so glad that I waited to read this because then I could really, really adore it for what it is. I love this. So it's about Tristan, who at the beginning of this book has lost his best friend in a bus accident, and he blames himself for not helping him in that time of need. And so he goes, and he also like loses a boxing match or something, and so he goes and spends a month with his grandparents. That first night he gets there, this little doll thing comes into his room and steals his best friend's journal, which was given to him by his best friend's mom at the funeral or whatever. And this sets off like a chain of events because Tristan obviously follows Gumbaby out and falls into mid-pass underneath a bottle tree. It is dealing with African mythology and also the mythology around slavery as well, and the stories around that and the truths around slavery as well. And it was just so fabulously well done. I highly recommend this. Of course, you guys know I love Rick Riordan Presents books. They're amazing. So I loved this so much and I cannot wait to get to the second and third one when that one comes out. All right, next up we found a new favorite book of 2021, and that is A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. This one I think is my favorite book that she has written. I just love this so much. It hurt me in the best way possible. It is such a beautiful look at humanity. It is such a beautiful hug, and just like you're sitting down with a friend and drinking warm tea. Just, you know, it's exactly what I needed, is a balm for the soul. I adored this. 5 stars. Easy 5 stars. It follows a monk named Dex, where they decide one day to go and just leave their job and become a tea monk and like travel around and become a tea monk. And then one day that's not quite the right fit for them, so then they go off into like the wilderness and they meet a robot named Mosscap. And Mosscap is the most wonderful robot to ever robot, and in this world the robots a little while ago had like become wild. They left civilization because they're like, nah, we don't want any part of this, thanks for building us, but no. So they went into the wild, and it is like an examination of humanity and what it means to be human and happy, and if you really have a purpose, or really is there any purpose in life. It's a lot, I will say, in a tiny little novella, but it was absolutely fantastic. Last weekend I powered through 3 books all in one go. So I read Among the Beasts and Briars by Ashley Poston in one day, and I gave this 3.5 stars. It is a dark fairy tale. I think it's a standalone because it really doesn't have like an open ending possibility for a sequel, and it follows a town that has like a haunted forest, is that the right word for it? I don't know, corrupted forest around it, and this like royalty has always worn a crown that's kept this like rot at bay essentially, and one day that rot comes into the kingdom, and our main character has to go into the forest to seek help basically for the blight that is happening and turning people into bone eaters, which are like wood beings. Very creepy, but also fairly good. 3.5 stars. And I finished another favorite of 2021, and that is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. I love Casey McQuiston's books. Red, White, and Royal Blue was one of my favorite reads when I read it I think it was the year that it was released. It was so good. This one, I think I'll like even more. It is sapphic. It is about Jane, who is stuck on the Q train from the 1970s, and it is about August, who is a 24-year-old university student who's just trying to make ends meet, and they fall in love, and it is beautiful, and it has a little bit of like magical realism to it with time travel. It is so good. I loved it. 5 stars. 5 stars. The last book that I have completed in the month of September is Small Favors by Erin A. Craig. This is the author who wrote House of Salt and Sorrows, which was decently creepy, so I was ready for another creepy vibe ride with this one. I gave this one 3.5 stars as well. The first half for me was closer to a 4-star or maybe even 4.5. It was so creepy and had that like unease in every page. My heart was a pounding, you know? And then the last half I liked less. It was around a 3 stars, so like middle of the road, 3.5 star for me. It is prairie gothic. It is historical. It's about this small town who they start getting like attacked in the woods by monsters. Apparently that was a theme for the past weekend. Woods and monsters. It is them slowly falling apart, and it's a lot. It is very good though. Really enjoy this, and I do highly recommend it for this time of year because it is a good transitional book into autumn, I think, from the summer. I do have issues with the ending. If you saw my vlog, ended in the middle of a plot point, and that drives me crazy because it doesn't wrap up the story properly. It feels like the draft or the story isn't complete, which I will say does leave you unsettled. So maybe that was the point. I don't know. But so yes, my friends, those are all the books that I read in the month of September. I am hoping to finish up at least one more book. As I said, I have the 4th Wayfarer's book by Becky Chambers on the go, and that one is an audiobook, so I could finish that up in the next few days. Well, I guess tomorrow's the last day of September, so who knows. And I am also trying to finish up The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke by the end of September as well, because I do hope to have a vlog up for that very soon. That one, and The Jasmine Throne, and She Who Became the Sun, the sapphic trifecta, if you will. I'm trying to have a reading vlog up for you guys to watch, hopefully this Tuesday coming up. We shall see. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Make sure to like this really rapid fire wrap up if you liked it, and let me know down below what your favorite read of the month was. I will catch you in another video soon. Stay kind and keep on reading.